Hi, and welcome to the first installment of a series that I hope to continue to do here. And today I'm just going to be talking about why there is serotonin uh, based mechanisms in second generation antipsychotics. So, as we know, dopamine rather, is the main hypothetical route to why schizophrenics experience the neuroses that they do. So the overabundance of dopamine was the original hypothesis. So many first generation antipsychotics actually target D2 with an occupancy of about, I want to say 80% roughly, because all measures of occupancy with dopamine seem to equate almost the same throughout the whole brain. So we know that the 80% can be an occupancy rate at the D2 receptor. Now, this is a problem because of one specific side effect that I'd like to kind of make the focus of the video about, and this is EPS. So these are extrapyramidal side effects. These are going to be motor tics, involuntary muscle movements, tardive dyskinesia, so we can write some of that here. Tardive dyskinesia and motor disorders will come from the chronic blocking. Sorry for what my camera's doing here. The chronic blocking of dopamine uh, in the brain. So as we see EPS being a more serious side effect among schizophrenics and people with bipolar or any individual who's being treated with antipsychotic medication, we're going to see the introduction of a therapeutic window from the 5-hydroxytryptamine 1A and 2A receptors. This is a sort of novel function of what we call second-gen antipsychotics. So what the serotonin system does so the therapeutical use for antipsychotics, for the application of 5-hydroxytryptamine is going to be an antagonist. So we're going to have antagonism at this site right here. So we're going to have antagonism at that site, and antagonism at the serotonin site, these specific ones, is going to actually increase, so hear that out, increase downstream dopamine release. So basically what you're looking at here, it kind of can seem almost contradictory, because you are actually releasing more dopamine, so why wouldn't that cause this 80% occupancy rate to go up? Well, that's because you now have two different receptors competing for the same occupancy. So the main problem of EPS, extrapyramidal side effects, comes from the 80% occupancy rate of D2 alone. When you have multiple aspects, multiple areas, and specifically where this releases is the dopamine release in the striatum. So this would be the nigrostriatal pathway, and that's going to cause a downstream release. Now, how this all happens is because when you antagonize these receptors, it's going to decrease glutamate, which is your excitatory function, and it's going to actually prevent GABA from being fired as well. So that downstream antagonism and release of dopamine is actually going to mediate this 80%. It's going to make it fall down to roughly 60% as a good therapeutic window. And as that falls, you're going to see less instances of EPS. At least that's what the literature is reporting. Now, there are significant cases of EPS with second-gen antipsychotics. This is just one potential mechanism by which this uncomfortable side effect, which affects a large population of people that are taking these drugs, can be helped or not experience it due to the dual sort of competing role for where dopamine is going to occupy your brain. And so that's where I will end today's video on. I hope you guys found it enjoyable and you learned something. Yeah.